Do you feel like someone's spying on you? Well, that's okay, because apparently a lot of people in Europe did too. And if you haven't heard yet, GDPR, that's what we're going to be talking about today. A lot of the updates that are going on with the GDPR world. What does GDPR mean? What should I be doing? Why am I getting all these damn privacy policy update emails so many times? It is ridiculous. We're going to go over that topic in this video. What is GDPR? What do you need to know about it? And how does it apply to your business? So stay tuned. Here we go. So like I said, I'm sure you guys have been like getting bombarded in your email accounts saying, oh, we've updated our privacy policy. Oh, well, we've updated our privacy policy too. Hey, well, guess what? We've updated our privacy policy too, and it's better than your privacy policy. Well, that's just not the case. The reason why you've been seeing all of these updates for privacy policies or hearing that term GDPR being thrown around is because of what's been going on in Europe. Essentially, a lot of stuff has happened with regards to data collection from social media agencies, online software platforms, things that collect personal data, and people are getting a little weary about it. They don't necessarily like the fact that you know that you like to eat McDonald's every Tuesday at 3 o'clock. And that you get the Big Mac every single time. Like, they don't want you to know that information, but unfortunately a lot of companies do know that information. Maybe not that specific about you, but they do know a lot of information about your personal habits, your personal behaviors. So essentially what GDPR stands for is the General Data Protection Regulation. So essentially what the GDPR has done in anyone who collects information or lead data, basically names, phone numbers, contact information, personal information like where they live, addresses, all of that. If you collect that information and use that for your marketing efforts, then you had to basically update your privacy policy. Essentially, if you're getting leads from Europe, if your business or client's business collects leads from Europe, then you need to update your privacy policy basically to comply with those laws. And yes, if you are in the United States, this does apply to you too. If you're collecting lead data or information from people in Europe, you need to collect this info, or you need to have your privacy policy set properly as well. So we're going to cover a lot of the main things that you need to be concerned with regards to your email lists, contacts being in those lists, what data needs to be collected, what warnings or policies need to be in place up front for you to be compliant. We're going to talk about all that in this video, so make sure you pay attention. But before we get into all of this other stuff, I want you guys to leave a comment below with a part of the GDPR that you might still not understand. So we're going to go through this video. Once we're done, leave a comment below if you still have something that you don't understand about GDPR, and we will make sure to try and get back to you about that response, or really with the answer that you're looking for. So what is the GDPR law and who does it really affect? Well, this came into effect on May 28th of 2018. The European Union actually passed this law and put it into effect. So essentially, again, this is going into changing the way we collect data, the way we collect information, the way we actually use that information once we've collected it. What types of compliance officers do you need in place? All of that is what basically has kind of changed with the update or with the upbringing of GDPR to the regulation of data in the European Union, which is about 28 countries. So make sure you know who those countries are. And a lot of you, again, we're going to get into it a little bit more, and you might be feeling like, oh, well, I don't understand GDPR. It just doesn't make sense to me. But that's okay. We've actually, there's been several studies taken, and about 80% of businesses still have no clue what GDPR really even does because of the fact that they don't have these large legal compliance offices in place to make sure that, they're completely compliant. So that's why we, again, wanted to take time to put together this guide for you. In a nutshell, all GDPR is, we're going to put a little definition here up on the screen, but all GDPR is a collection of personal data. Again, whether that be through your email account, whether that be through some sort of funnel that, collects email subscriptions or phone numbers, or if they have to enter in their information at checkout when they purchase, all of that information that you collect has has to be recorded, and then that is again part of the process where you need to inform people of the data that you're collecting, how you intend to use that data, what processes need to be taken care of, or how to handle the process of me removing your data from my database if you request it. There's all kinds of things around that. So what we're going to go to, what might personal data be? Like, what exactly is the definition of personal data? So it's any information related to a person, such as a name, a photo, an email address, bank details, updates on social networking websites, location details, medical information, or a computer IP address. All of those are the definition of personal data. So if you collect any of that whatsoever from someone living in Europe, you must be compliant with GDPR regulation. All right, so the next part you're going to want to understand is the consent and age restriction. So essentially, consent is them giving you permission to collect their data and their information. But then once you collect it, inside the privacy policy itself, you actually need to have a section that tells them what data you're collecting, why you're actually collecting that data, and what you intend to do with that data. So if you plan on using it for remarketing purposes on, say Facebook, you actually need to mention that you plan to remarket on Facebook using their data collected from your Facebook pixel. These are all things that you actually need to mention. As far as age restrictions are concerned, you can't market or save data on customers or leads or purchases or whatever of people who are under the age of 16. So meaning you cannot remarket to them at all whatsoever. Even if they make a purchase, you can't remarket to them and use that data. They have to be above the age of 16. So if you know that you're prone to getting a lot of people under that age limit, then you need to have those restrictions on your websites, on your landing pages, wherever, where these people might be coming and saying, hey, yes, I am above the age of 16, and they are the one who consent to being above the age of 16. Okay, so the next little topic or change we're going to talk about is with regards to email marketing. So with GDPR now, if you're collecting emails, whether that be through an online course or a subscription-based platform, maybe through lead generation, like through your landing pages, or maybe they have just a login portal on your site, doesn't even necessarily have to come with like a purchase of a membership, but you're collecting that data anyways. If you're going to be doing some email marketing to them or remarketing to them, you have to understand that you need to start listing out the specific list that they're going to be in. So say you have a list for people who sign up to receive marketing emails, right? That's a completely different list than people who are signing up, to your course and actually making a purchase. And now they need to be sent, some emails on transactions happening on their account. Like they make a purchase once a month, or it's a subscription-based purchase. So they're going to receive an email once a month saying that they made that purchase. You need permission to actually be doing that as well, separately from marketing emails, sending marketing emails to them. So really just making sure that you're compliant there, and that the list that they're joining, you're not just blasting out every email to one big list of emails. You actually have their consent to be sending those emails, and if they're not on your marketing email list, finding a way to get them into that marketing email list is going to be the next best option. But you can't just blast emails to them because they are a customer, but they haven't maybe subscribed to a specific email list. Does that make sense? So again, this is only for European customers, which makes it a pain in the butt, because now you have to start segmenting out your email list even further to, exclude emails to European contacts that might not be able to receive them, right? Just makes it a little more difficult, but just understand those major differences. So really the subscription management is super important, but also you need to understand that if someone requests to be taken off of a list, you have about 30 days to remove that person from that list. That's just the grace period that you have, and then to delete all of their data from any other list, so that way they don't receive any other marketing related or really just communications from your business. So again, that time period is still 30 days. I'm pretty sure that's what it was before this anyways, so it's not really too much of a change. Just know that you do have to get rid of all of that data that was collected. Now, as far as your website goes, it's pretty much the same information, whether it's your website or your landing page. There might be little discrepancies or differences between each one, but for the most part, it's the same. You're telling them what information you want to collect, what you intend to do with that information, why you're collecting it. Are you going to send it to third-party marketing services? They need to know that information, and you need to tell them. Another factor is things like Google Analytics or Facebook Analytics. If you're collecting that data to do remarketing on Google or Facebook, you need to mention that somewhere out in your privacy policy, because again, that's data that you're collecting about them to reuse to market to them on some other platform. All right, so it all kind of mingles and mixes together. Another big thing for websites or web users is cookies, right? And specifically to people trying to do affiliate related marketing. Anytime someone, visits a link from your promotion, if they visit that link, that means a cookie's placed on their site, meaning it's going to track them, and now it has like information like their IP address, stuff like that. So again, that is more data that you're remarketing to, so you need to actually let people know, hey, we're tracking your cookies on these links, and it needs to happen before they actually make that affiliate style purchase. So that's kind of a big change that's happening there too. Also, things like your contact and subscription forms, those things need to have little information. Number one, saying I agree to this privacy policy, and the second one can be I agree not to receive these communications anymore. I don't need to see this request for access anymore to use my data. There's two checkboxes that you can use to not have to, or to prevent that happening in the future, to where you don't have to collect that information anymore. But just know that on these contact forms, on these subscription type forms, you do need to actually be collecting that type of data. Lastly is if you guys are using WordPress uses a lot of plugins, and some of those plugins actually request to use people's information. So just make sure that all of the plugins that you're using on websites are up to date, and that their privacy policies are up to date. So that way you're not taking people's information, like inadvertently taking in information on your website and you didn't even know about it, right? That would be a huge misunderstanding, and you wouldn't want that to happen. So just make sure any plugins that you use on your WordPress site are up to date. All right, Jordan, so what about social media, right? How do we get compliant with social media? The cool thing about social media is that you don't have to worry about it. All of the big social media platforms have already updated their privacy policies, so they are compliant. One thing I will tell you, and I see this happen a lot, there's like these email scrubbers or like bots that will pull emails from Facebook accounts. If you buy those email addresses and start marketing to them or trying to get clients from them, you're actually setting yourself up to get fined pretty badly. Like, that is not legal. You can't take emails that were scrubbed from Facebook and start sending them emails. I mean, they can easily reach out to some sort of compliance office and start, penalizing you with fees and just a lot of stuff that you don't want to deal with. So don't ever buy emails from someone and just start sending them emails. Those are not compliant usually with any type of email regulation, even outside of GDPR. But the good thing is it does mean that, you can still have trust in posts and content that come out on social media, because again, it doesn't collect that information when they're seeing your post or engaging with your post. So again, just more benefit to advertising on social media there, and just something that you can kind of talk to your clients about and kind of mention to them, hey, the good thing is we don't have to worry as much about compliance with GDPR and all of these other, regulations with regards to tracking their personal information. As long as we don't go buy emails from somebody, we should be good. All right, so keep that in mind when you're also thinking about GDPR and social media and maybe trying to get new clients, or if you're just concerned about it with your social media in general, something for you to know. All right, so the 5 immediate things you need to do basically to become compliant are, number one, you just need to do an audit of your customer data. You need to understand what data you are currently collecting. Do you have that information included in your privacy policy? Like, do you tell them that you're collecting that information in your privacy policy? Just make sure that you're very clear about what data that you're actually collecting and what data you currently have, what you need to update, all of that. Number 2 is you need to examine your consent process. So, when they start to tell you, yes, you can actually send me all kinds of stuff, what are you telling them that you're going to say? What is the process for them to give consent? If you have on there like that you're going to give, or that you're going to take their first name, last name, and phone number, but you only say in your privacy policy that you collect first name, last name, email, then you're missing something, right? So you need to add that and make sure that you're compliant. Third step is obviously just to review and update your privacy policy. From there, once you understand the pieces that are missing in your business, what information you're not collecting or leading on about that you need to definitely have updated in your privacy policy, the sooner that you're going to be able to start remarketing again. And again, you shouldn't be remarketing or sending out ads, sending out emails to contacts that haven't accepted your new privacy policy conditions. The fourth thing you need to do is develop a strategy for data breach. So if something happens to your data and it gets out to a source that doesn't need to have it, or basically doesn't need to have access to it, you need to have a process in place to make sure that you inform your audience, that you keep them up to date, that you inform any regulation agencies that need to be informed, so that way you are compliant with regards to what happens if somebody does break into your database and start taking that information and doing things with it that they definitely shouldn't be. The fifth and final thing is you need to define some form or fashion in which you take requests from potential customers or from people that you have collected their information. You need to have a process in mind or laid out, really documented, that says this is what we do when someone requests for us to remove their information, or if they feel like we've been marketing to them improperly and shouldn't have been marketing to them in the beginning. There needs to be a process in place for you to handle that data or handle that information, so that way once you get a request, it just goes through boom, 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 and it's done, taken care of. It's not something you have to actually worry about. So in conclusion, GDPR is essentially just making sure that you're not misusing people's information when you collect it, whether that be when they're, again, making purchases, submitting their information to get more information from you or to join a list or whatever. When you're taking that information, and you need to tell them, again, what you're doing with it, what you intend to do with that information, what third-party services are you going to be giving out to if you give it to anybody at all, how you're collecting it, why you're collecting it. All of that information needs to be placed in your privacy policy, so that way these companies, or not companies, but customers, feel comfortable with what you're doing with their data. The other things are, again, if you are in the US, this does apply to you. It's not just people in Europe or inside of Europe, or people, it's everybody marketing to Europe. So it includes everybody. And again, if you are not compliant, then you basically risk someone kind of taking up to 4% of your gross annual revenue because of the fact that you didn't want to be compliant with the privacy policy. And it's not that difficult of an update to make. The cool thing is, obviously the EU is completely understanding of the fact that this is a new law. Not everybody has, the legal team to put everything in place. So as long as they see that you're making an effort, if you're not compliant, they will talk to you and work out something with you to where you're not completely penalized, just for no reason. They understand that businesses are a lot smaller and do need help with this. So just make sure you read up as much as you possibly can on things that you need to do for your agency or for your clients that market to European style markets. But outside of that, guys, that's really it. Just understand that it does come down to following those guidelines. And if you don't understand, you need to talk to an attorney who has a little bit of information about GDPR. That's what I strongly recommend. And there's tons of different types of agency services or, attorney services out there that you can look up that are compliant with GDPR and understand the rules and regulations behind GDPR. So that's it for this episode, guys. I hope you found some value in it. I hope it taught you a little bit about GDPR. If you have any questions about GDPR or still don't quite understand how it's going to relate to your business, leave them in the comments below, and I'll make sure to get back to you. Outside of that, in this bottom right-hand corner right about here, you're going to actually want to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell, because we give cool content away for free every single week. Plus, we give away free courses every single week on Thursday at our live mentorship, or at our live session on YouTube at 9 p.m. We're actually about to start doing YouTube and Facebook Live at the same time, so that's going to be pretty exciting. But you guys have all the resources that you need to get the best results for your marketing agency. The question is, are you actually taking advantage of the situation you have right in front of you, or are you being lazy, or are you procrastinating and not getting the things done that you need to? Because it's all right here at your fingertips. You just need to take action. We have everything that you need over at Serial Entrepreneur Academy. So if you haven't checked that out yet, the description is in the link below, or the link is in the description below for SerialEntrepreneur.academy, or you could just go into the URL bar and type in cereal, like the food, entrepreneur.academy, and it will take you directly to our website where you can learn more about marketing. So I'm going to get out of here, guys. I hope that you guys found some value out of this. If you did, throw a thumbs up down there at the bottom, so that way other people can get access to this really cool video. Until next time, guys, Serial Entrepreneur out. Later.
Ready to start living the six-figure work wherever, be your own boss lifestyle? Well, at Serial Entrepreneur Academy, we'll teach you how to use a laptop and internet to start your own social media and digital marketing agency. Get started with our free Facebook ads training. Links in the description below, guys. See you in the course. Serial Entrepreneur out.